Why do I miss the BMW? Well, because I got to drive this thing every day. Now, don't get me wrong. I love this car, but sometimes, especially over the last several weeks as I've looked for a car to replace the BMW, I really have started to miss that thing. Now, before we get too far into this video, real quick, let me know in the comment section below if you're an Infiniti Nissan fan that is just curious why the hell I could possibly miss a BMW, or let me know if you're a BMW fan coming in to see why I miss a BMW. And also, let me know where you're from. I'm always curious, and now that we're increasing our subscriber count, I thought I'd get an update from you guys where you are viewing from. Really cool to see. Glad we're spreading this culture of speed. Now, let's talk about why I miss this thing. Make sure you take my opening statement with a little grain of salt, because I do love driving this car, and I love driving this car every day. But there are a lot of reasons that I liked that BMW 335i as well. And one of them is because it was a stock BMW. And stock BMWs ride like butter. The suspension is still nice and soft. The car is very well balanced and nimble. It's just comfortable to drive. The body and the interior felt nice and solid. Not that the Q50 doesn't, but there's just something about the quality of a BMW. Some of you will argue that. But also, you know, the Sparco racing seat's not all that bad, but it certainly isn't the supple leather of a BMW 335. Speaking of the supple leather of the BMW seats, I love the interior of that car. It was an 07 335i, so still the very basic, simple, interior design of that car. If you've watched these videos, you'll know that I'm in a lot of ways a minimalist, especially when it comes to the interior of a vehicle. I couldn't care less about this kind of crap, gadgets and buttons and dials and even a stereo system or whatever. Clean lines, simple trims, quality materials. There's just something about that BMW interior that I really loved. Another thing I loved about that car was the exhaust system. And yes, it was completely stock, and I think that's why I loved it, or why I miss it from time to time. No, don't get me wrong. I'm all for a deep, throaty, aggressive exhaust note, and I love how this Q50 sounds as VQ37 with the Speed Culture Studios custom catback system installed. However, there are just some days of the week where I love getting in a car that's just quiet. And that 335 had just sort of a delicate, smooth, refined exhaust note with those factory burbles. It was just something about it. It was fun to drive with the window cracked just a bit. You knew it was there. You could hear the car, but it wasn't overbearing. Obviously, it was in stock form. And, like I said, there's just some days of the week where you want to get into a car and drive somewhere, and it's just quiet. So I miss that. Another reason I miss that car is because of its overall driving experience. I'll say it was torquey. No, it wasn't faster than the Q50, how it sits right now. But you could definitely feel the difference when driving that vehicle compared to this Q50. That little extra grunt made it a lot of fun to drive. On top of that, the speed and the power that car did have felt effortless. And there is definitely a difference in that feeling when driving this Q50, and that should be expected. That's sort of the nature of the beast with a naturally aspirated engine that's reaching its limit in terms of power and capability. The 335, it just did what you wanted it to do, and always within expectation. It certainly wasn't going to surprise you and shock you with how fast it was, but you could definitely feel that there was more in it, and that there was a lot more potential. So what you were getting from it was effortless, like I said. But with the Q, it's a lot to do with how the exhaust system sounds as well. It's loud, it's aggressive, so when you get on the throttle, the car is working. But because it's not all that torquey, you don't really notice the power. You don't really notice how it's pushing you in your seat or how fast you're actually accelerating. This car, the Q50 right now, tuned with the modifications that it does have, is probably about a second, just over a second faster, 0 to 60 than that 335 was, which is quite significant. A 1 second difference in a 0 to 60 time is pretty huge. But driving the 335, if you were a passenger and you rode in that car and you rode in this car, you would almost think that the 335 was faster. So just that, just the vibe, just the feel of the car, I really do miss on occasion. I feel like this video is turning into a comparison between the 335 and the Q50, which I didn't want to do, but it seems natural, obviously, because, you know, I owned both of the cars at the same time, and it was just natural to make a comparison and draw comparisons between the two. But another reason I miss that car is just because of the potential that it had. And you know, sometimes I tell myself I might have sold it a little bit prematurely. I dumped a lot of money and a lot of effort into it right away to get it up to a point where, not that it wasn't a good driver the way it was, but, you know, it's always a good strategy to make sure you address any issues or any potential issues before you start increasing performance. And I got to that point to where I put a lot into it, and I was thinking, well, geez, is it a good daily driver, or is it one that I really want to turn into a project and really push the limits with the car? And anyway, it was just a hard decision that was made, and I sometimes think, like I said, I made it a little bit prematurely, and the reason I do miss it is because it did have a lot of potential, and it was at that stage where it was just a nice, solid, reliable car. And I was sort of wavering. I had other things in mind that I wanted for the channel, other things in mind that I wanted for the family, and other things in mind I wanted for this Q50, because that's what the channel was based on. So there was just a lot that went into it, and I made the decision I made, and now here we are today, where I get up in the morning, and every time I open the garage or I walk out to the driveway and that 335 isn't there, I kind of take a kick in the gut, and my heart kind of drops a little bit. But no regret. Right? Always got to move forward. But I'm looking for a little reinforcement, guys, a little bit of support. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if I made the right decision getting rid of that 335, or if I should have maybe held on to it for a little bit longer. I'm curious to know what you think. And also, don't forget to let me know where you're viewing from, and from what segment of the speed culture you're coming from. You BMW guy, you Infinity guy or gal, let me know. But also, guys, I want to let you know some good stuff coming for the channel. I'm not sure when this video will go up, but we got new, better tires for the Q. I got some other things on order. I got some stuff on order for the Explorer, believe it or not. So a lot of things coming up. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've had a BMW 335i in the past, also go ahead and let me know what your thoughts are or were of that car. But yeah, those 335s can be such good cars, you know, for a lot of reasons. They drive great. They're very well balanced. They feel good. They're super comfortable. They're really, really appealing to me in their simplicity in terms of interior and overall design. They look, that's another thing. The car looked super sharp, even in stock form. BMW's always done a great job of, you know, kind of tucking the wheel and tires up into the wheel well, so there's not always a lot of wheel gap in those cars. They just have a beautiful stance. The coupe was so sharp, timeless, classic design for that 335. And here we are. Like I said, we're down to one vehicle again, so hopefully, actually tomorrow the plan is to head down to Columbia. I got a vehicle I want to look at. I've had a couple pulled out from under me over the last couple of months, and it's getting very frustrated. I can't find anything locally, so I'm always having to arrange trips to go pick something up here or there, and it's tough. You know, I'm obviously looking in a segment that is quite popular, and they get nabbed up, or they're just junk. So I've looked at a bunch of things over the last several weeks, and just haven't found anything that tickled my fancy, if you know what I'm saying. But I'll definitely give you guys an update. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate the continued support. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Stay tuned for giveaways.